In this video, we'll talk about Bernoulli and binomial distributions. So first of all, instead of talking directly about the distributions, we'll take an example to understand what exactly is a Bernoulli distribution. Why will we going through an example? Just to know that how can we implement the Bernoulli distributions and from where it is exactly derived and how is it exactly used. So let's take an example. The treatment given to a particular patient in a clinical trial can either succeed or fail. So, now we are saying that a treatment is given to a patient in a clinical trial and that treatment can either fail or succeed. So, now let x is equal to 0 if the treatment fails and x is equal to 1 if the treatment succeeds. Right? So, we are saying okay, so we know that there are only two possible cases. One, either it can succeed or it can fail. So, if it fails, x is equal to 0. If it succeeds, x is equal to 1. So, we are saying x is the random variable. Let p be the probability that x is equal to 1. So, if x is equal to 1, that is if the probability of occurrence of a success is p. So, now we know that if you want to find the probability of x is equal to 0, that is the probability of occurrence of a failure. So, that is clearly 1 minus p, because there are only two options. If one is p, then the other has to be 1 minus p, because the sum of the probabilities needs to be 1. Also, this p is always greater than equal to 0 but less than equal to 1. Right? Now an important thing, that for different values of x, there corresponds a different value of p. That is, for x1 it will be a p1, x2 it will be a p2, and so on till xn, which will be different for pn. But satisfying these conditions, that p will always be less than equal to 1 and greater than equal to 0. Right? So basically whatever we have discussed in our last slide, this is representing the Bernoulli distributions. Right? So what can we say is, we are simply saying a Bernoulli distribution. What is it? A random variable x has a Bernoulli distribution with parameters p such that p lies between 0 and 1 if x takes the value 0 and 1 and the probabilities are probability of x is equal to 1 is equal to small p and probability of x is equal to 0 is equal to 1 minus p. So can we say this is something very similar to what we have learned over here? Right? So this is x that is taken to different values in the clinical trial, whether 0 or 1. So similar is the case over here. So basically we are saying this is basically the random variable x, and these conditions, that probability of x is equal to 1 is equal to p and probability of x is equal to 0 is equal to 1 minus p, and this condition together makes it a Bernoulli distribution. So probability function of x, what exactly it is simply it says f of x is equal to p to the power x into 1 minus p to the power 1 minus x for x is equal to 0 and 1 and 0 otherwise. So why is it this? It is this because, so right, so we have already seen the probability function, that is f of x is equal to p to the power x into 1 minus p to the power 1 minus x for x is equal to 0 or 1, and this is 0 otherwise, because x can take either value 0 or 1 and it cannot take any other value, so it's 0 otherwise. So now if I ask you what is the probability of getting x is equal to 1 or f of 1, so it will be simply p to the power 1, 1 minus p to the power 1 minus 1. Now we know this is 0, so 1 minus p to the power 0 is equal to 1, so this becomes p. And similarly f of 0 is equal to p to the power 0, 1 minus p to the power 1 minus 0. So this becomes 1 minus p. So this is quite similar to these two equations. Right? So like this we can also find out these probabilities. So now let's talk about expectation and variance. These are two important constants, right? So expected value of x we know is summation f of x, summation x into fx, right? So this is simply equal to x can take value 0. When it is 0, what is f of x? F of x is simply p to the power 0, that is 1. So 1 minus p to the power 1, that is 1 minus p. Plus when x is equal to 1, this is equal to p. So this becomes the expected value of x is equal to p. Now let's find variance of x. Variance of x is simply equal to expected value of x square minus expected value of x square. Right? So this is the variance. We already have the value of expectation of x. We need to find the expected value of x square. Expected value of x square is simply equal to x square into f of x summation. Right? So this is equal to x square 0 square. What is the probability of 0? It is equal to 1 minus p. This we have already seen, the probability of failure from here or from here. Plus 1 square into probability of success, that is p. This becomes p. So now we know expected value of x and expected value of x square are same. So variance of x is equal to expected value of x square minus expectation of x square. This is equal to p minus expected value of x whole square. So this is equal to p square. So this is equal to p 1 minus p. Right? So this is basically the variance of a Bernoulli distribution. Now we'll talk about binomial distributions. So first of all, let's see certain assumptions about the binomial distribution. Then we will try to derive the binomial distributions. So let's start with our first assumption. The number of trials is finite and small. This is quite clear that there needs to be, the number of trials are finite. So there will be various trials, but those number is a finite, it's a fixed number. And that number needs to be small. It cannot be 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs something. It needs to be a small number. There are only two possible mutually exclusive outcomes in each trial, called success and failure. So we are saying, okay, that there are only two outcomes, success and failure, and these need to be mutually exclusive outcomes. Now what are mutually exclusive outcomes? What is the meaning of it? Mutually exclusive outcomes simply states that there is nothing common between the two events or two outcomes. That is, there is nothing in common. It's either a success or it's a failure. We cannot say it's both a success and a failure. We can say it's either a success or it is a failure. Third, the probability of success remains constant from trial to trial. This is very important. That is, the probability of success does not change with the number of trials we are working on. Let's suppose we are taking an experiment of 5 trials. So now the probability of success will remain same if even when we are doing a first trial, and it will remain same even if we are doing the fourth trial. So it won't vary with the number of trials we are doing in the experiment. It will always remain constant independent of the experiment, independent of the number of trials. The trials are independent. So what does this mean? This simply means that each trial is independent. It's not dependent upon any previous trials. Like in our generally when we used to talk about permutations, combinations, it was somewhere upon like earlier when we talked about certain things, they were like, okay, if I'm taking, let's suppose there are 8 balls in the there are 8 balls in a basket. I'm picking out one ball. So now, and there are 4 red and 4 black balls. If I'm picking up a ball, red ball, so now we are left with only 3 red and 4 black. So now when I'm picking my second ball, it is dependent upon the ball that I have picked up in the first trial. But in this case, this does not happen. Each trials are independent. Right? So basically that is the outcome of any trial is independent of the outcome of any other trial. Right? So these are a few basic assumptions of a binomial distribution. Now this is an important note that any random experiment for which the binomial probability model is appropriate is called a Bernoulli trial. So like in a set of trials, if we are taking a simple random experiment for which we are saying, okay, the binomial probability model is appropriate. So in that case, it is also known as a Bernoulli trial. Here we will also understand the relation between a Bernoulli and binomial distribution. Slowly and slowly move towards it. So let's see an example to understand this. Let's suppose we are taking a Bernoulli trial, that is a coin flipping. Now we know, let's suppose tossing a coin 3 times. So this is our experiment that we are tossing the coin 3 times. Now we know that the number of trials is 3. Fine. And there are exactly 2 mutually exclusive outcomes in each trial, head and tail. That is, it's either a head or it's either a tail. It can never be both. So we are saying that 2 possible mutually exclusive outcome in each trial, that is head and tail. And let's suppose the occurrence of head is basically our success and occurrence of tail, just a second, yeah, occurrence of tail is basically the failure, right? So probability of success remains constant from trial to trial. It's quite obvious. Let's suppose we are taking an unbiased coin. So when I'm flipping it up, so when I'm tossing that coin or I'm flipping that coin, I know that it's either a head or a tail. So in our first trial, let's suppose head occurs. Now I'm flipping it again. So now in our second thing, it can either be head or it can be tail. But the probability of head remains half. Again, we know that the probability of head is half always. So it will remain half only. It won't change just because whatever result we have got in our previous trial. Right? So probability of success remains constant from trial to trial. The outcome of any trial is independent of the outcome of any other trial. Right? So outcome of any trial will always be independent, that we have already discussed. Right? So this was an example of coin flipping where there were exactly 2 outcomes, head or tail. So we have seen how it is a Bernoulli trial. Now let's take an example when there are more than 2 outcomes. So what it can be? So it can be basically, let's suppose, a fair die. Why we are saying fair die? So that we know when we are tossing a die, basically there are 6 outcomes and each of the outcome has equal probability of occurrence. So similarly, a fair die is basically to mention it that the probabilities remain equal. So in these kinds of cases, what we can do is we can convert any experiment into a Bernoulli trial. How? How can we do that? We can simply do that by simply considering the occurrence of event E as a success and occurrence of event E bar as failure. So we'll simply convert whatever is not in success as a failure. So again that becomes a Bernoulli trial because now we are saying there are only 2 outcomes, either a success or a failure. And this is what Bernoulli trial says, either a success or a failure, and we have converted it into that format. Right? So now we are, let's suppose this fair die, we are tossing it 4 times. Right? And we treat success as getting a 2. Right? Now we know that there are 5 different events of not getting a 2. So we can simply convert this failure as not getting a 2. Right? So again we have seen that there are 2 different trials, that there are 2 different outcomes, success and a failure, and each trial will always be independent of the previous trial and it's satisfying all the other conditions. Right? So we can convert any random experiment into Bernoulli trial like this, provided the other conditions are clearly satisfied. If all other conditions are satisfied, then we can clearly convert it into a Bernoulli trial. Right? So now we do a derivation of the binomial distribution so that we can understand that from where this distribution has turned out to be. So now let us consider a Bernoulli experiment that consists of n trials. So whatever I am saying, we are also writing over here so that we keep all the points noted. n trials or simply n Bernoulli trials. So it's satisfying all the conditions that we've already discussed previously. So now in each of the experiments, so basically we are saying that basically in this consider an experiment that is repeated n number of times and that there are only two possible outcomes on each trial, called a success or a failure. So let's represent this by S and this by P, right? So the outcomes for these each trial is a success or a failure. This failure is represented by F, right? So now let the probability of success be equal to P and probability of failure equal to 1 minus P, and we can also represent this as Q, right? So now let X be the random variable representing X is a random variable representing the number of successes in n trials, right? So these are simply the number of successes in n trials. So now we know that the possible values of X are 0, 1, 2. It can be that 3 successes, it can be 4 successes, it can be simply n successes, right? That is, all of them we are getting a success in all the n experiments, in all the n trials. Now the problem is that we need to find the probability that X is equal to R. This R can be any value. Let's suppose probability that X is equal to 3 or X is equal to 4 or anything like that. So now to find it, note that in a sequence of n independent trials, we have two possible outcomes, that is success and a failure, and any sequence that contains R successes and n, let's suppose then any sequence that consists of R successes and n minus R failures. So for this, the probability will always be equal to P to the power R into Q to the power n minus R. Why? Or P to the power R into 1 minus P to the power n minus R. We know because there are P. Why P to the power R? Because we are multiplying P R times, because R number of successes, and we are multiplying 1 minus P or Q n minus R times, because these are the number of failures out of total n trials. So this is simply the, if we are taking any random sequence, so this is simply the probability of R successes and n minus R failures. Now to find the probability of obtaining exactly R successes in n trials, we must find the number of sequences having R successes, that out of these n trials, what all number of trials are, what are the, like let's put first trial, second trial, what all trials are we getting a success and what all trials are we getting the failure. We also need that combination of that R successes, right? So what will we do? We'll simply use NCR, right? So thus we can simply say that the probability of getting exactly R successes in n trials, this is simply equal to NCR, that in what all out of those n trials and what all trials are we getting success. So that combination we are finding out multiplied by the probability of successes R times into 1 minus P to the power n minus R, right? So this is simply the probability of getting exactly R successes in n trials. So this is what exactly our binomial distribution is. So let's see. If X is the number of successes in n independent trials of a binomial experiment with probability P of success and Q of failure on any trial, then the distribution for X is simply given by probability of x is equal to r is equal to NCR into p to the power r into q to the power n minus r, right? Where r is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on till n, and q is equal to 1 minus p. Rest other conditions are obviously satisfied that p is always less than equal to 1, and there are two successes, one success and one failure, only two outcomes. So all those conditions are already satisfied that we have seen over here in the assumptions of the binomial distributions, right? So now we usually write p to the power p probability of x is equal to r is equal to this, we can also represent as PR. Also, any random variable with this binomial distribution is called a binomial random variable. Also, it is said to have binomial distribution. Please see that this n and p are the parameters of binomial distribution. This is very important, that n and p are parameters of binomial distributions, right? So now let's form the table that if x is equal to r, what is the probability? So if x is equal to 0, this is simply putting over values over here, this is simply q to the power n. Why? Because r is 0 and nc0 is always 1. So when this is 1, this becomes nc1 p into q to the power n minus 1. This is nc2 p into 2 power 2 q to the power n minus 2, and so on till p to the power n, that is probability of all n successes simply pn, because ncn is always equal to 1. Another important note, that each of the probabilities is a non-negative fraction. We all know that it's a fraction and it is non-negative, and the sum of all the probabilities is 1, that is summation of r is equal to 0 n PR, this is equal to P0 plus P1 plus P2, so on till Pn, right? And this will always be equal to 1. This is important, right? Because this will be helpful. Why? From where are we getting this? Because this is simply equal to q to the power n plus nc1p q to the power n minus 1 plus nc2p square q to the power n minus 2 plus so on till p to the power n. And what is this? This is simply an expansion of q plus p to the power n, which is equal to 1 to the power n, which is equal to 1. So this is important. This is just a simple note. Now let's discuss an example. The probability that a student entering the college will graduate is 0.4. We are saying that the probability that a student who is entering a college will graduate is 0.4, and determine the probability that out of 5 students, this means n is equal to 5. None will graduate. None of them will. First of all, what is the probability of x is equal to r? Over here, first of all, this is equal to NCR p to the power r into q to the power n minus r, because we can clearly make this out. It's a binomial distributions, right? So now we need to find out few parameters. N we know is 5. P is also 0.4 because that is the success. So what is the q? This is equal to 1 minus 0.4, which is equal to 0.6. So from here we can say this is simply 5CR, p to the power, rather p will, let's write it as 0.4 to the power r, and q is 0.6 to the power 5 minus r, right? So first question, none will graduate. Probability none will graduate means probability of x is equal to 0. So putting in the values, so r, when r is 0, this is simply 5C0, 0.4 to the power 0 into 0.6 to the power 5, right? So what is this? This is simply, this term become 1, 5C0 is again 1, So 0.6 to the power 5 is simply 0.07776. I have already taken out these values. I am simply writing it out directly. Only one will graduate. So probability x is equal to 1. This is equal to 5c1, 0.4 to the power 1 into 0.6 to the power 5 minus 1. So this is 5c1, which is 5 into 0.4, and 0.6 to the power 4 is so basically now this is 0.6 to the power 4. So this is equal to 0.2592. I have already solved these values. I am simply writing it out. Right? These values I have already solved. Now at least one will graduate. At least one will graduate meaning that is 1 minus probability none will graduate, right? So we can simply use this probability from here. Why to compute it again and again? So this is 1 minus 0.07776. This is equal to 0.92224. Right? So last part, all will graduate. So probability that x is equal to 5, which is equal to 5c5, 0.4 to the power 5 and 0.6 to the power 5 minus 5. So this becomes 0.4 to the power 5. So now again this is 0.01024. Right? So this is how we can simply solve this question. I hope you like this video. Do subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you. In our next video, we'll be also talking about the constants of a binomial distribution and also fitting of a binomial distribution. Thank you.